Good evening, chaps. Good evening, ladies. Good evening, gentlemen. Cheers. I cannot tell you how long I've been waiting for that. Took the dog out for a walk earlier and came back and felt a bit thirsty, but I thought, no, I'll save it. Oh, dear me, that's good. How's everyone doing anyway? What's been going on in your world? It's been a busy week here, but then again, every week is a busy week at the moment. Let's see who we've got in, shall we? I suspect it's some familiar names. Brad Matthews, I see there. Anton, Dave Pegg, 60s Man, Chip Young, Ian Clark, David Evans, Nigel Pickett. We've got Thomas in there. Thomas Kowalewski. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, mate, but, forgive me if I am. Vincent Brennan, Lee's in, Mick Brooks, Michael Clark, Phil Simmons, Derek Clacton, the usual crew, basically. I did notice, as I was just pouring my beer there, normally it gets to about a minute to 5 o'clock, and, there's maybe 40, maybe 50 people waiting. And, dear me, there must be nothing on telly tonight because, it's 70 of you waiting to come in. So thank you once again for turning up. Is Ozzy in? There he is. Craig in. Craig's in. Craig Stamen. So, Sean House and Steve Hoggett. Where are you, Steve? We've missed you a little the past few. What you been up to, mate? You been busy? So anyway, let me give you just the usual rundown of what's coming up on the channel this week. Tomorrow, it's the usual Saturday solo, and I've had a few requests to do a little bit of rockabilly stuff. So tomorrow, there's a little bit of a rockabilly solo and lesson going on, specifically the more kind of Brian Setzery kind of stuff, where he tips over a little bit towards the, dare I say, jazzy sort of stuff. So that's tomorrow. Then on Monday, the usual Monday solo analysis. Excuse me. Yes, I was very kindly reminded by, I can't remember who it was, mixing loads of shizzle. Is that what you've been up with, it, Steve? I was very kindly reminded last week on the live stream that I promised to do a Leslie West solo. And I'll be honest with you, it was on my list, but I sort of forgot about it. Well, I've put that right on Monday, a Leslie West solo for you to get your teeth into. Then on Tuesday, a bit of a divisive one on Tuesday. And what are you saying there, Thomas? Thomas is enough, that old Polish name. Okay. Yeah, Tuesday, a bit of a divisive one, because we're talking about Eric Clapton, and anytime you talk about Eric Clapton, it's always a little bit divisive, isn't it? He's more divisive than Brexit. The people who love him really love him. The people who don't really, really don't. So that's Tuesday's video. Wednesday is another theory session. Don't forget, if you have any music theory questions or queries or anything that is puzzling you whatsoever, then there's a link to my website in the description, or on all my videos and everything. Send me an email and I will do my best to answer you. But on Wednesday, it's all about seventh chords. What's a seventh? What's a major seventh? What's a minor seventh? Etc. etc. So that's what we're dealing with on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, it's a bit of a strange one, really. A video that I've resisted doing for a little while, but I've had, a couple of requests on Patreon and a few emails, and comments in videos and stuff like that, coming at me from a lot of different directions. People saying, John, what's your journey? How did you get to where you are? Tell us your life story. So, that's what Thursday's video is about. You can tell I'm not really comfortable talking about it because I'd rather be talking about a scale or a lick or an arpeggio or a solo than talking about myself. But you seem to be interested, so I thought I'd get it out of the way, then we can move on. Dave Lewis, John, my Morrison's export lager cans turned up this afternoon. And what are you thinking of them, Dave? That's what I'm on this evening, as per usual, because the nice Morrison's driver turned up at 8:30 this morning with a load of groceries. Steve Howe, somebody mentioned Steve Howe there. Tad, yes, there is a Steve Howe solo on my list. Actually, I usually keep a list of 10 solos that are like my to-do list, and as I do one, I cross it off and add another one. And there is a Steve Howe solo on there. In the coming weeks, I guess I'll move it up the list if enough people ask. So, excuse me, I am just concentrating. I'm rubbish at pouring beer tonight. Look at that. If your souffle had a head on it like that, you'd be pleased, wouldn't you? Anyway, where are we? Guitar intonation, John. Any tips or tricks you use? Yes. First of all, get a decent tuner. Don't adjust your intonation with the inbuilt tuner on your effects pedal or whatever, where it's just like 3 lights and it's dead on, sharp or flat. Get a decent tuner. Doesn't have to be a strobe tuner, but a decent one with a decent kind of meter on it. Second, the mnemonic you need to remember is fret flat forward. So when you play the harmonic at the 12th fret and get that in tune with your decent tuner, and then check the fretted note at the 12th fret. If that is flat, you move the bridge saddle forward, i.e. towards, yes, thank you, Chip. You move the bridge saddle forward towards, the neck, basically. And obviously, if it's sharp, you move it the other way. That's how I've always done it, and, it seems to work. Random question. Who enjoyed school music lessons? Mine bored me to tears. But like Latin, I wish I'd paid better attention now. Well, Phil, my music lessons at school, the first couple of years we had just this doddery old woman, the kind of, the one that with the glasses like that, with a bit of string around her neck and the hair up in a bun and the cardigan that smelled of cats. She was our music teacher for the first couple of years, and then she left, and then we got like this new guy who was just fresh out of university or teacher training college or whatever. And, there was only maybe about 10 years gap between us and him. So, he used to make it interesting. He was always getting us into, basing the lessons on music that we were interested in, basically. Where are we? And make sure your strings are okay. Yes, Derek. Yeah, always test your intonation on brand new strings. What's with the so-called perfect fourth tuning? Don't get the point. Yeah, you've probably been watching that Tom Quayle video, haven't you, mate? It's the point of it is that any shape that you learn for an arpeggio or a chord on the so the third on the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings will then transpose onto the 5th, 4th, and 3rd, and so on, and then onto the 3rd, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. So it's basically, it removes that little kind of step out of out when you have to go onto the 2nd string. It's not something that I've ever tried. It's not something I'm interested in trying, but I can see that for a very limited number of applications, it does have value. It's like that Robert Fripp, that NST new standard tuning that sort of didn't become a new standard tuning. It just, I think a more honest appraisal of that would be the Robert Fripp tuning, because he's the only bloke who uses it. Where are we? My history teacher played Jimi Hendrix' Star Spangled Banner one day. Best music lesson ever. Yeah, I had an English teacher who was always kind of playing music in the lessons. I've spoken many times about how he played the whole of the Camel Snow Goose album during a lesson once, and that was the first time I'd heard it, and that was like sort of what turned me on to Camel. But he was always like doing Bob Dylan lyrics in the sort of poetry lessons and stuff like that. He was, he was a bit of the old hippie. The kind of tweed jacket with the leather elbow patches, and always a funny smell coming off his jacket. It smelled a bit, a bit sort of skunky, shall we say. Anyway. Kieran's in. How are you, Kieran, mate? No, you can't do open chords with the fourth tuning, Dave. That is in that Tom Quayle video. He basically makes the point that the guitar is, what he called a repertoire-based instrument. Evening, Robert. How are you, mate? No, not mothballs, mate. No, something a little bit more pungent was his jacket. He makes the point that it was. The electric guitar is a very repertoire-based instrument, and there's, the moment you go to that perfect fourths tuning, there's a whole load of stuff that you just can't play anymore. But if you are set on playing your own stuff, and only your own stuff, and not needing to rely on bar chords or, any of the shapes and patterns that everyone relies on, then, then it does have its advantages. But it's not something I'm ever going to, have a go at, I don't think, unless I might do it for a laugh in a video at some point. John, Long Goodbyes by Camel has a great solo, worth a video. Okay, that will go on the list. Let me write that down. Excuse me. There we go. I've been working on a Camel solo with one of my students lately. We've been ploughing our way through Ice from the I Can See Your House From Here album. But dear me, if I was to do a video on that, it'd be longer than that. It'd be longer than War and Peace, My three daughters are choristers at our cathedral, and they get £1,500 worth a year of music tuition with it. Dear me, that's all right, isn't it? Can't go wrong there. Evening, Johnny Love. How are you, mate? John, did you see China Mike is now testing your recommended guitar strings? I did, actually. Well, I didn't see the video. It's on me to watch list for Sunday afternoon. So I shall check that out. Can I use Pro Tools on an Android box if I can get? I have no idea, mate. Deco. I've never used Pro Tools, and I've never used an Android. I presume you mean like a Raspberry Pi or something like that. Have you ever tried a Michael Kelly guitar? No, but it is on my bucket list because I've heard nothing but good stuff about them. I just in the office at the moment, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guitars. So getting another one past the boss might be a bit of a stretch at the moment. Yeah, Ozzy, I'm with you, mate. Reaper is fantastic. I was going back about, 20 years longer, actually, 21 years in 2000. I got my first PC and tried Cubase on it and could not get away with it at all. And I fully admit that was, pilot error. I was inexperienced and I didn't know what I was doing. But then I installed Cakewalk, and for whatever reason, I just seemed to be able to get Cakewalk. It worked for me, and so I stuck with Cakewalk for many years, various incarnations of it, and then about, oh dear me, a couple of years ago, more, I did do. I did the leap to Reaper, and I haven't looked back. And I listened back to the stuff that I recorded on Cakewalk, and it just doesn't sound as good as the stuff I'm recording on Reaper. I think I don't think that's a. I think a more skilled person than me would probably get better results out of Cakewalk, but Reaper is, I find, just easier to get good results out of. Hello from the acid jazz clog dancers in Morecambe. Yeah, that conjures up some images, doesn't it? John, will you tell my missus that 9 is okay? She thinks 3 is enough grounds for divorce, you reckon? Oh no, well, you see, I only really speaking if I desperately want a new guitar. There are 2 words that I can use that sort of win the argument every time: handbags and shoes, because that cupboard that you have in your house where just stuff gets sort of piled in, and then you have to kind of drag it all out again when you need to get a meter reading. That in our house is just piled high with. You open the door and shoes fall on you, and they ain't mine. So when I want another guitar, I just say shoes, and she kind of just shuts up then. Protocols, Cubase, etc., all just tools, in the immortal words of Duck Dunn. If the shit fits, wear it. Yeah, I'll go along with that, Steve. I've only just stopped getting guitars because I've run out of room. Yeah, I've got room for 2 more on the walls in here. If the webcam wasn't sort of attached to the PC, I would kind of pick it up and show you around. But I've got that entire back wall there covered. There's no room for any on that wall there, but there's probably room for 1 there and 1 there, and then that's about it, I think. John, 3 notes per string or diatonic, meaning the normal scale shapes? Diatonic, do you mean like the caged system or the caged based shapes? I use both. I don't think it's an either or choice. I'll happily use 3 notes per string, and I'll happily use caged. It's just like if I grab a guitar. Here we go. So if I'm going to do something a bit twiddly, like you can't see, can you? If I'm going to do something a bit twiddly, like that sort of thing, I'll be using 3 notes per string. But if I'm going to do something a bit bluesy, then I'll probably use, like a cage thing. It's just, I just look at the neck and I just see the notes that I want and grab them, and I don't tend to think in those sort of patterns that much these days. Buying a new house, so I have an extra room, so that's my excuse for more guitars. Good on you, Craig. Good on you, mate. Oh, we've got Dan in from Scott Guitars. Evening, Dan. How are you, mate? I can't get on with 3 notes per string, probably because I've got small hands. Yeah, the thing for me that, I know what you mean, all that big stretchy stuff. I think it's because I grew up on a diet of status quo stuff, doing that kind of shape all the time, that I developed the stretch. To do the 3 note per string stuff. It never felt like it was a big adaptation. So, I moved the sofa the other day and found a PRS. Oh dear me, that's like putting your hand in it. That's when the weather starts getting cold and you pick your winter coat out the cupboard and you put your hand in the pocket and there's a 20 in there. That's one of those, isn't it? It happens every now and again, but not this year, it has to be said. Watched an honest review of the Eat Strat, and a lot of YouTube faces are raving about yesterday. However, in the honest review on 2 guitars, it shows the flaws and they were not good. Yeah. I've seen that. I saw Guitar Max, Max Carlisle doing a review on that one of those eights the other day, and it was a Strat, and I thought, do I need another Strat? I'll tell you the brand I'm really kind of gassing for at the moment, though. These Sire Larry Carlton guitars. Have you seen a bad review of one? Dear me, no, I haven't. They just look so good. It's Epiphone money, and it's like I think Danish Pete described it as being, the closest thing to a Music Man he'd ever played, which is, dear me, that's some praise, isn't it? My home studio consists of a Zoom standalone recorder and Audacity. Am I missing out on something? Well, you don't know until you know, do you, mate? I mean, it depends. If you're into sort of MIDI instruments at all, like doing MIDI drums and that sort of stuff. I don't know if you can do that on your Zoom, but you certainly can't do it in Audacity. It's that might be something you might want to explore if you're interested in it, but if not, then don't. If you're happy with the music you're making with the gear that you've got, then do it. I mean, dear me, for years I was using a Vox Tone Lab. It's a fantastic piece of kit, and getting a guitar sound I really enjoyed. And people are saying to me, "Oh, you should check this out. You should check out Guitar Rig. You should check out Amplitude. You should check out all of these modeling things." And what drove me to check it out was because the Tone Lab did start to get a little bit temperamental, not in producing the tones, but hooking up to the computer. That side of it. So I thought, yeah, perhaps I should have a plan B. And then I got an interface, and started getting into the amp sims, like Blue Cat Free Amp was the first one I used. Still use it a lot, actually. And that opened up a whole new world. And what I enjoy about that now is I can record something and then think, yeah, maybe I should change that guitar sound. Maybe it would sound better going through this kind of amp or that kind of amp, and you can effectively reamp it. And I love that versatility and that flexibility. The downside is that you always end up doing that and thinking, oh, what if I was to try this? What if the sort of option paralysis that can set in a little bit. There are plugins you can get for Audacity, David. You can get things that you can, like, I don't think they're called plugins, but there are extra effects that you can get for Audacity, because I've got like a mastering thing on there that I use. Anything that I do in Reaper, I always give it a wash through this mastering plugin or effect that I've downloaded that's specifically in Audacity, and it just beefs everything up a little. There's a video of Andy Timmons jamming with a guy who has no arms and playing with his toes. We have no excuses. Is that the same guy in the 80s who I think he did a performance for the Pope, of all people? Oh dear me, we've got a spammer in the chat. Yes. Just don't feed the troll. Anyway, he's and he was playing like a guy playing an acoustic guitar with his feet, and it was just the most inspirational thing. I still remember the video of it. Anyway. Audio interface and Reaper should be enough for any home guitarist. 50 quid sorted. Yeah. I mean, my interface is the much maligned Behringer Euphoria, and I hooked it up and installed the ACO for All driver, and it just worked. I get very well. You always get some latency. That's the nature of the beast. But what's at issue is, do you get any noticeable, any kind of off-putting, any kind of kind of latency that interferes with your playing? And I just don't. So yeah, you remember that one, do you, Pablo? I'm still at the guy playing for the Pope. What's that, Dave? I'm still analog in my studio, but I do have the digital options, but I don't like them. It's still very much old school. Yeah, the thing is, you do get, when you're recording to tape, you do get that much vaunted warmth and everything that comes with tape. But there are ways of, introducing that into the digital environment. There's a free plugin that I use on everything in Reaper. I'll just stick it on the master track. It's called Ferox. It's a tape sim plugin, and it really does warm things up brilliantly well. As I say, it's free, and Ferox, Ferox. Just put it into VST, just bung it in there, and you'll notice how it just kind of warms up the sound of everything quite considerably. Don't feed the troll, Aussie. You got the Behringer as well, have you, Aussie? Yeah, it's just a fantastic piece of kit, and they're dirt cheap as well, or at least they are in the UK. One of my students, who occasionally crops up on the live stream, but he's in the States, so sometimes the time difference can be a little bit hard work for him. He was looking to buy the Behringer Euphoria in the States, and they were, kind of about 3 times the price they are in the UK. So, have you listened to How Blue Can You Get? You mean the BB King track many times, mate. Thanks, Chip. Good lad. That's very, very generous of you. Yes, you do occasionally. This is the problem with the internet, isn't it? They'll let any bugger use it. But if they're getting on your throat, and he's I wasn't aware that you chaps could block them. It was the thing is, I would have had a go, but the chat is moving so fast and my eyesight's so bad, and I've had B that I was scared I might end up blocking one of you lads, which I didn't want to do. But thank you for jumping in there. No, the Gary Moore release out today. Oh, no, I haven't, mate. I didn't know there was one. In fact, yes, I did, but I'd forgotten. Shame we can't give him a slap. Block and reported, indeed, yes. I always get, whenever I put a video up, I always get, I'll guarantee that often in the first 4 or 5 comments on any video I put up, there's always somebody with a link to some porn site or something, and you just block and report. Anyway, any love for the Bloy? Excuse me. As I said, I've had beer. Blue Oyster Cult, maybe a lesson. Again, yes. What a cracking idea. I'm still absolutely loving the new album. But what's it called? The Symbol Remains. Loving that. So, yeah, it might be something from that. I have got a little bit in advance with me solos at the moment. There is, as I say, tomorrow is, not tomorrow, Monday is a Mountain Leslie West solo, probably the obvious one, the one that you're kind of thinking of. And but I've got While My Guitar Gently Weeps, that's in the can. I just need to kind of edit that together. Well, it's edited in terms of the recording. I just need to edit the video together. And I'm working on an Allman Brothers one at the moment. Okay, Anton, that Mick Fleetwood and Friends, is that the one, that gig that was on, was it last year or the year before, where, Kirk Hammett turned up amongst others? Because if there's a CD out of that, then I might just have to, okay, make someone an administrator for your channel chat. They will then be able to block spammers and nutters for everyone. Okay, yeah. I shall. If anybody's up for that job, then kind of ping me an email, and we can organise it. Yeah. Um, what's the best Harley Benton Strat? Thinking of the David Gilmour one. Well, you can see it just in the corner there on the wall behind me. I've got the David Gilmour one. It's a cracking guitar. I absolutely love the neck on it. I love the neck on it so much that I overcame my my natural inbuilt bias towards the 21 fret neck. It's only got a 21 fret neck, but it's such a comfortable neck on it, such a lovely feeling neck. I should play it more often, really, but the thing is, I've got Blondie here that takes up all my time. Yes, Jason, you're not the first person to mention that that song, that version of While My Guitar Gently Weeps. I've got a student on a Saturday morning who is a vicar, actually. Well, he's more than a vicar, he's a canon in the Church of England, and the sweariest person I teach. Okay, that is the gig, is it, Anton? Fair enough, mate. But yeah, he's been raving about that performance, the Peter Frampton While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Oh, there's no need for that, Malcolm, but thank you. That will go to a very good cause. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Everybody raise their glass to Malcolm. Cheers. What are we having for supper? Pizza here. Well, yes, it is. It is steak and chips in the Robson household. I was at our local Aldi last week, and don't know what it is about this branch of Aldi, but they have the best fillet steaks in there. I mean, absolutely, just noticeably better than anywhere else. So I always pick up like a bunch of them and put them in the freezer. So it's fillet steak tonight. It is chicken tikka balti from Bengal Spice tomorrow. Oh, thank you, Jason. Raise your glass to Jason, everyone. He's a gentleman and a scholar. That will go to Zoe's place, I assure you. What is the finish on the back of your Scott guitar? The finish all over this guitar is it's Crimson Guitars finishing product. It's their finish. It's their kind of oil. It's a bit like sort of is it True Oil or Tongue Oil? I'm not sure, but it's basically their version of that. Dan in the chat from Scott Guitars will furnish you with more details, but it's a lovely tactile satin finish all over that guitar. If you like the twiddly, Paul Gilbert with Yellow Matter Custard did a fiendish version of While My Guitar. I shall have to check that out. Chinese chicken curry with pineapple and cashews. Oh, damn! Yeah, you see, no, yeah, that's pineapple is fine as a dessert, but just at some point somebody decided that pineapple was okay to put in with kind of savoury dishes like gammon and pizza and curry and stuff like that. It's just morally wrong. It's if my missus orders a Domino's pizza and she doesn't want me to kind of nick the leftovers, then she just always orders a ham and pineapple pizza because just pineapple on in savoury dishes. No, sorry, no, it's not acceptable. And when I come to power, it'll be banned. These days, the more fat in a steak, the more it costs. Years ago, we wouldn't touch it. Yeah, I do like a lean steak, it has to be said. But then again, when I cook it in just an ocean of butter. So it's, I, you know, I'm feeling like I'm being virtuous by, buying a lean steak and then, in with the Lurpak. Pineapple in sweet and sour is as far as I'd go. Yeah, you see, yeah, I'm not even a fan of that. I don't mind sweet and sour chicken, but I always pick the lumps of pineapple out. In fact, our local Chinese takeaway, they know me that well, and they say, I'll say, can I have Cantonese sweet and sour chicken, please? And then they always finish the sentence with without the pineapple. And so there you go. Oh, is butter supposed to be good for you now, Johnny? Is it? I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that. Well, stick around because next week it'll be bad for you again. John, that's like ordering a kebab and a Diet Coke. Yes. The thing is, I've got a mate who's diabetic. So when he goes to KFC and gets his his kind of fillet burger or whatever, he orders it with a Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi. It is in KFC, isn't it? And he just feels a bit sort of foolish, kind of ordering this huge, kind of deep fried chicken kind of burger thing, and then saying, "Oh, can I have a Diet Coke?" But there are times when you just need to watch the sugar content, I suppose. John, any opinion on the use of an Ebo? My son got me one for Christmas. Yeah, I've got a review of an Ebo coming up sometime soon. I'm still waiting for it to arrive. But I've never used one, so you're going to be on a learning curve with me when it arrives. But I'm just curious about, because I was a big fan of Big Country back in the 80s, and they were quite fond of the Ebo, weren't they? It was like you can make your guitar sound like bagpipes, and you can make your guitar sound like, this and that and the other. So just thought it might be worth a try. Here in Germany, we have schmaltz. It's basically pure fat that you put on bread, like a bit of good old dripping. Oh, yes. Yes, you can't beat a good bit of, like an uncut Hovis loaf, proper brown bread with the bits in it. Cut the end off it and smear it with beef dripping. Dear me, that used to be my my breakfast before I went out to school on a morning back in the 70s. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Das. I must admit, I go through more guitar cables and leads than is humanly possible. It's because I'm sat down playing all the time. I'm on a chair with casters, typical office chair kind of thing, and the wheels go over the cable, and once I've done that a few times, the cable's just kind of dead, and so I am thinking about getting a wireless. Because they are so cheap now. It makes no sense not to. Bacon grease rules in the south of Dixie. Yes. There's a little tub of bacon grease every Sunday morning in our house. We have bacon sandwiches. That's the law, and done properly on a proper skillet. None of this kind of doing it in the oven nonsense or anything. And then just pour off the grease and save it into a little tub. And then I use that for, when you're starting off a casserole or something and you're browning the meat, God, this is turning into the Great British Menu, isn't it? Um, or MasterChef or anything. But just that bacon grease for when you browning meat for a casserole or anything like that. It's just the best thing in the world. Um, I have a cheap wireless system, but it does make a noise in the wrong point of the room. Um, I'm using a wireless in my studio. It's great. Don't hang on a cable. Um, yeah, the number of Whirlwind cables I've bought, Dave, that they come with a lifetime guarantee, don't they? And then 5 years later they're dead, and you can't find the receipt, and you can't remember which place you bought them from, so you can't get your replacement. I'm very skeptical about any of these cables that say guaranteed for life, because they just seem to always pack up at some point, and you've always, as I say, lost the receipt, and you just have to buy a new one. So I am thinking about getting a wireless. The only thing that makes me a little bit apprehensive is I don't know anything about wireless systems. I don't know which ones are good ones and which ones affect the tone, and because I play guitar from about 7 a.m. on a morning and lessons and stuff like that through to 8 p.m., 9 p.m. on a night sometimes. So I need something that's not going to suddenly kind of decide, oh, I need a new battery or I need charging up at that, halfway through. Bacon sarnie and a strong coffee, the best way to start the day. Yes, indeed, Craig. I'll go along with you on that one, mate. It's the best cure for a hangover as well. Not that I really get much of a hangover these days, which makes me feel really smug. But Saturday mornings after me usual kind of belly full on a Friday night, which continues way past this live stream. Let me assure you. Bacon sandwich, because we have them on Saturdays sometimes as well. Bacon sandwich, walk the dog, and then the 3 S's. You know what they are. And I'm as right as rain. 12 hours work, that's a lot. Yeah, well, I would work these hours for anybody else, mate. It's I'm doing what I love. I get up every morning at absolutely stupid o'clock, 5:30, and that's if the dog lets us have a lay in, because this morning he didn't. He was jumping on the bed at 10 to 5, and wake up and think, what am I going to do today? Oh, that's right, I'm going to play the guitar, and I'm going to talk to people about guitar, and I'm going to have conversations and chat about guitar, and that pays the mortgage. Am I allowed to feel smug? John, my wireless 5G lasts 6 hours and takes about 30 minutes to recharge through my PC. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm looking for basically something that'll give me either the longevity to last all day, or something cheap enough that I can buy sort of 2, if you know what I mean. Is it warm in your gaff? If it is, can I have your T-shirt? No, this was a present off the missus. It is warm in here. Like it's not bloody warm up in this neck of the woods here. It's the sun is absolutely blazing out there. But when I walked the dog earlier, it was, let me say, it was absolutely bloody Baltic. There's this wind coming in off the North Sea, which just chills your bones. But this little room here, it's because the central heating, hot water tank, and everything's on the other side of that wall there. So it tends to make this room get a little bit clammy at times. You must have good calluses on your hands. Joe Satriani said he never washed dishes. Well, that's some excuse, isn't it? Yes, dear. Yes, I'd love to do that sink full of pots, but it's I just can't. I have my art to think about. Um, I had a fair few wireless. One of the best is the Line 6 G50. Okay, so Line 6 make a good product, do they? Well, no, that's not fair, is it? I got a little bit upset with Line 6 because I had one of the original pods way back in the day, and you were supposed to be able to hook it up to your computer and do all kinds of wonderful stuff with it, and it never worked. And Line 6 customer service were about as much use as a ashtray on a motorbike, to be honest. And then I've tried like there was the Pod Live and the Pod thing, this, that, and the other, the various foot pedals that came out. I tried them all at one point or another, and I could never get a sound out of them that I liked. Restrung official documentary, nice little 1 hour YouTube award-winning video where a Disney animator decides to become a professional luthier and starts about 1/10 on the pay, but much happier. I shall give that a watch, Johnny. Thanks for the tip. Thomas, mate, I've heard nothing but good stuff about those little Harley Benton Valve 15 amps. I really feel I should own something like just a nice little tube combo to kind of use at home. But as I said, when I did the thing about it's down there, you can't see it, the Yamaha THR. That's the speaker system for my laptop. It's the interface for the laptop, and it performs so many other tasks that I need that I would have to spend a lot more to replace those other things that it does if I was to replace that. I haven't heard of Midi or Nadi wireless systems in ages. They were everywhere. They were like the industry standard, weren't they? Yeah, I'm with you, Malcolm. I've never got on with Line 6. I tried the Helix native software a little while ago, and my impression, if I remember rightly, was meh. It's all right, but nothing kind of earth-shattering. Dave Simpson loves the Harley Benton 15-watt valve amp. Okay, well, I usually trust Dave's opinion on stuff. He's certainly got an ear for tone. My Blackstar HT20 Mark II, fantastic little valve amp, love it. Yeah. Now, the thing about Blackstar valve amps, I don't know if you saw that Brad the Guitologist video where he was talking about them. And he was saying the problem with Blackstar gear is that if it goes wrong, you can't get a circuit diagram for it. So essentially, if it goes wrong, you take it to your amp tech. There's nothing that the amp tech can do. You can't get it repaired. You've basically got to buy it and hope that it basically never ever goes wrong. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Podrig. Line 6 amps do a job, but they're like 70s and 80s Japanese cars, overspec'd with things you neither want and will never use. Yeah, I don't need any kind of amp that gives me, 128 different amp models that all sound, a little bit like a Fender Twin, or a little bit like a Marshall JTM 45, or a little bit like, a Vox AC30. I don't need that. What I need is a good clean sound and a good dirty sound that I can clean up to sort of a crunchy, bluesy sort of sound. Okay, fair enough. I stand corrected, Podrig. The about Brad's video. I just know that I want to watch the video. He was, he tried to find, support for the amps, and based on the video he saw, and when he was looking for them, he couldn't find, authorized service centers. Can you bend a string on a modern digital guitar? I don't know. What do you mean by a modern digital guitar? Is it, something like a Variax or something like that? It's hardly modern, is it? Yeah, okay, Podder, he's right. You can't find diagrams though. Okay, Das, the circuit diagrams can be found. Fair enough. The Harley Benton Tube 15 also attenuates to 1 watt. Great for my German neighbours. Yeah. Again, it is. I mean, the other one I'm thinking about is the Marshall Origin 5 watt thing. It's from what I've heard, it basically gives you that old school Plexi JTM 45 kind of tone in a package that's neighbor friendly, basically. My Fender Red Knob Champ 12 just had new caps and tubes fitted, picking up on Tuesday. Hadn't realised the capacitors don't last forever. Well, no component lasts forever. We still have a big, I think it's Samsung widescreen TV. It's our TV in the front room, and we've had it years. Got it in about 2009, I think, and then in about 2015, it just wouldn't switch on. So we called out the local TV repair guy, because they still existed then. Don't know if they still do now. And he basically said that the thing with these is that they're putting 20 volt components like capacitors that are rated at 20 volts into a circuit that is running at 45 volts, and they just burn out. So he replaced it with a 50 volt component, and it's been fine ever since. Yeah, Das, the thing is with those Blackstar amps, though, there are a lot of integrated circuits in them, and if you don't know what's on that chip, and you can't find any information on that chip, then it's, you're guessing, basically. You had one of those Casio things. Yeah, I remember those Casio digital guitars with the plastic strings, DMA, awful things. But that's the thing about the 80s, wasn't it? It was everybody was thinking. I mean, I remember Gary Moore endorsing the Synthax at one point, and then there was the Step guitar synth, and all of these synth controllers that were basically kind of guitar-shaped synth controllers, and these were going to be the future, and suddenly then they weren't. I remember the Alan Holdsworth album Secrets, I think it was, where that was one of the albums where he was like massively into the Synthax, and it was just like Depeche Mode doing free jazz. It was, excuse me, I bought this album because I was interested in hearing some great guitar tones and guitar playing, and suddenly it's like just all this Human League kind of soloing kind of stuff. Nah, not for me. I might get an old Laney amp. They were okay. What do you think, John? My first amp was a Laney. My first ever amp when I graduated from plugging my guitar into the Amstrad stereo. It was a Laney Mighty 50 single channel solid state amp, and it got me gigging, and I have very fond memories of it. And then later on I had a Laney Linebacker something or other, twin channel, again solid state amp that I played many a gig with that, and it was dependable, it was reliable. I got a usable sound out of it. I'm not going to say it was a fantastic tone, but it was it was like Peavey, a Peavey Bandit. It was that kind of sort of category of amp. It was just a working box, and it sounded okay, and it got the job done. Your playing has to be so accurate to play those MIDI guitars. Yes, indeed, David. You might remember back end of last year, I did this sort of review of things that guitarists actually want for Christmas, and one of those was a piece of software, funnily enough, called Midi Guitar, where it just picked up the notes that you were playing, and you could, it would play as a piano or as an organ or as a sax or as any number of different things, and it was really accurate and it tracked really well, and there was no kind of latency between the notes that you played and coming out of the and the notes coming out. But dear me, if you've got any kind of additional notes coming in from other strings, or just any sort of anything that was not quite pinpoint accurate, it was just a nightmare. So I ended up thinking, I had the demo version, which meant that basically it would sort of just flash a little nag screen at you for 5 seconds, and the sound would cut out every couple of minutes. And I was so wanting to like it and so wanting to use it, but it just wasn't for me. The one I am interested in, though, are these, and they've been out a few years now, these electro harmonics pedals that basically essentially turn your guitar into a Hammond organ. I do love the sound of a Hammond organ. I think it's the Deep Purple fan in me coming out. I am interested in those because I've heard nothing but good reviews of those, and it's not a sort of pitch to MIDI thing. It's just somehow manages to do it with some other form of witchcraft. I think so, Deco. I think somebody jumped in and managed to block them. Chip Young, I can play my put my email on here. It's easy to ignore weirdos. Get a pen. Okay. Where are we? Did Iron Maiden use guitar synths on the Somewhere in Time album? I don't know. I wouldn't claim to know that. We've got Budget Guitarist, Budget Guitar Show in. Hello to you as well, mate. The Hammond B3 organ sounds like nothing else on earth. My favourite, I've got to tell you, my favourite electric organ sound is the Vox Continental. That was the one where the white keys were black and the black keys were white, famously used on House of the Rising Sun. If I was going to go for it, I always try and kind of recreate that sound. I use when I'm doing any kind of organ sound on anything, I use something called the Eurythmia electric organ sound. You can get pretty close to that. Evening, Bob. How are you, mate? I have a Vox AC 30cc with an electrical fault. Does anyone know in the Northwest who can mend it? Shame you're not in the Northeast, mate, because I know there's a great amp tech over here called Clever Trevor, who is, there's nothing he can't fix. Yeah, and the Farfisa organ, indeed, yes. First I heard of that was Mike Oldfield. Didn't he use that on Tubular Bells? The Electro Harmonics pedal has a Vox sound too. Right, that's it, sold. That's it. The thing is, when a guitar pedal turns up in the post, it's, it's only a small box, isn't it? Dear me. Oh, no, I thought I was out of beer then. Terrible situation. It's only a small box, so I can get that past the missus. When a big box, guitar-shaped box, oh dear me, look at the state of that. When a big guitar-shaped box turns up, she knows I bought another box turns up, she knows I bought another guitar. But if, fair enough, Aussie, wasn't that a car? British Leyland. Where are we? I think Roy Wotton is the best use I've seen of a syntax. Yeah. If you look on YouTube, you'll see. I think Neville Martin, one-time editor of Guitarist magazine, demoing the syntax. It's intriguing, to be able to pick up a guitar and you're playing guitar things and it's coming out as an organ or a piano or violins or whatever. But then again, I can't remember who it was who said this, but it was a guy talking about, they had like this, they were trying to do this guitar synth part on this track, and after like 2 hours of trying to get this solo right, they realized that it just sounded like a really bad sax player. Well, wouldn't it be good to have a good guitar solo on there than a bad sax solo? Oh dear me, have we been buffering while I've been blethering? Oh dear me, I shall have to give it a bonus extra couple of minutes, shan't I? If the buffering was cracking off, it does that sometimes. I don't know why. It's obviously just the internet doing what the internet does. John, your tippling is a little bit behind schedule tonight. Well, no, you see, I've just poured number 5. There's all the dead soldiers. There's 4 of them. Number 5 has just gone in the glass. So it is rather tasty tonight, it has to be said. So God knows what sort of state I'll be in by the end of the night. I have a Tweed Deluxe amp made by Flynn Amps in Glasgow. Great company with superb service, and all handmade, last a lifetime. Just like the Fender amps of the 1950s. You should give them a try. Yeah, I don't know if you saw the video I did with Steve Hoggett where I was trying to kind of recreate Gary Moor's guitar tone on Moving On. But there was an amp involved in that video called a Stoneham, and that's another little hand-built company up in this neck of the woods, northeast of England. So I shall, when I get set up for demoing amps and I've got like a decent way of miking amps up and everything, and I've learned a little bit more about that, then I am looking at sort of doing that, more of those kind of videos. Did we ask for what's for tea, John? It's steak and chips tonight, mate. Does beer come in a 5-pack in the UK normally? It tends to come in lots of 4. You get sort of 4 cans all sort of strapped together with a little plastic thing, and there's 4 packs of 4 in the fridge. Well, not anymore, there isn't. And that's supposed to last me the weekend. It never does, but we can live in hope. One week it will do. Could the troll have something to do with the buffering, John? I doubt it, mate. Not unless they're kind of, in control of the internet speed or something. Where are we? Yes, steak and chips. I even got an electric guitar amp at the moment. I play through my speakers, sounds pretty good to me. Well, I haven't really got a proper amp. I've just got the little Yamaha THR thing, which I use for, just convenience in lessons and something, but and stuff like that. But most of the time when you hear me guitar recorded, it's through a plug-in of some kind. Yeah, are you still a fan of the Sonic Ache rock stage? Are you Aussie? Because I must admit, when I got one of those on your recommendation, the sounds I was able to get out of it it was the closest thing to that Tom Scholz Rockman sound that I've ever been able to get. And so I sold that one on, but I am thinking about getting another one because it's just such a great thing. Yeah, it's a fantastic piece of kit. I'm thinking about checking out another one of theirs. There's the Twiggy Blues one, isn't there? And it just seems such. Yeah, yeah. That was the thing with. I remember playing. 10 solid years on the Northeast club circuit. Whoever, I don't know whether it was the same architect for all of these working men's clubs that I used to play, but I suspect there's an architect somewhere who designed all of these working men's clubs who was a failed musician and hated all of the musicians because he always used to put the concert room about 3 floors up with, kind of no access. So you're humping bass bins and, 4x12 cabs up, kind of flights of stairs that turn corners and stuff. Absolutely appalling. The troll, Les Peck, yes. Actually, I just checked that video the other day, mate. It's that his comment is still there, but he's changed his name to Big Log nowadays, which is, I think we all know what a log is. Okay, is that jazzy blues thing, mate, Ozzy? That where you're using the rock stage and a few Reaper plugins? In my collection, I have a 1966 Yamaha SG5A. What's the oldest guitar people have? Well, probably the oldest one I have is, well, dear me, probably, I don't know, because like one of them, the Frankenstein Telecaster, that if I just move there you go, the bits and pieces Telecaster, you can see that's of an unknown heritage. So that if I just move there you go, the bits and pieces Telecaster, you can see that's of an unknown heritage. So that is possibly the oldest one I own, but I don't own any like old guitars. Les Peck must be spam. Yes, for anybody who doesn't know, Peck was another brand of spam in the UK, as in the tinned kind of meat that is absolutely delicious as a fritter. Oldest you've got is a 98 Stevie Ray Vaughan Strat. I really regret getting rid of some of my guitars. I mean, it's the one guitar that I regret getting rid of, as you know, is the Gordon Smith GS2 that I had back in the 90s, because that was a lovely thing. And next to that, it was probably the Japanese 60s reissue Strat. You know those Strats that Fender came out with in the late 80s, early 90s that were made in Japan, and there were 50s and 60s reissues. And they were then superseded by the made in Mexico Strats. And those Japanese ones now are just ridiculous in terms of the money that they fetch on the used market. But I got rid of mine because, well, I'd put EMG pickups in it, and the EMG pickups packed up. And so I did. And, what a crazy decision in the end. Westone Thunder 1 Podrick. Dear me, that brings back some memories. Whatever happened to Westone guitars? They had like a Trevor Rabin signature model, didn't they, at one point? And, and then they were just gone. They were nowhere. Gretsch, Tennessee, and dear me, that's probably a second mortgage if you would look for one of those now. I'm not never sure how to pronounce that name. Is it Tiesco or Taisco or Tesco? But I had one of those, although it was badged in the UK as a Woolworths Top 20. Absolutely awful guitar, but nostalgia value counts for a lot, doesn't it? My ex-landlord had a 1970 Gibson SG that he had never used. He told me to put new strings on it and keep it for a bit for practice. I was so taken aback, I refused. I'm an idiot. Yes, what an idiot I am. There's all kinds of stories knocking around. It's that thing, isn't it, where something that is such a low value instrument can suddenly kind of skyrocket in value, and everybody's got a story of, like, a guitar that they wish they'd hung on to for another year or two because it suddenly became the in thing, the fashionable guitar to own. Anyway, chaps, we've been on well over the allotted time, and I'm starting to get hungry. I'm waiting for me steak and chips. Once again, it astounds me every week that some people turn up to watch a fat, bald northeast lad, drink beer and get a little bit kind of tipsy and talk cobblers for an hour or so. But thank you. It is much appreciated. I really do look forward to this every week, and I'll keep on doing it as long as you lads keep turning up. So once again, chaps, thanks for turning up. Have a great week. I'll see you all tomorrow on the video. But till then, time, gentlemen, please.